April 25th, 1980, Tenerife North Airport in the Canary Islands had its second major air crash in just 3 years. The previous incident involving the collision of two 747 on the runway remains to this day the most deadly air crash in history heaving. Killed nearly 600 people, that accident. Cast a long shadow over the world of aviation. This is the story of Dan Air London Flight 108. Welcome to our channel. Please subscribe now, red.aviation. The air in the departure lounge at Manchester Airport was thick with the usual blend of anticipation and boredom. A businessman, Alan Rigby, sighed as he adjusted his watch, mentally calculating the time he'd lose on this unscheduled stop in Tenerife. A young couple, Sarah and Mark, bickered quietly over the map of the island, their dream holiday already tinged with minor friction. An elderly woman, Eleanor, clutched her handbag tightly, her knuckles white. She was flying out to visit her son, a feeling of unease she couldn't explain settling in her stomach. They were all passengers on Dan Air London Flight 1008, a Boeing 727 now being refueled for the final leg to Tenerife. In the cockpit, Captain John Barlow and his crew ran through the pre-flight checks. The mood was professional, but there was an undercurrent of frustration. The aircraft's inertial navigation system was acting up again. A known gremlin in the 727. They had a backup, a simpler radio-based system, but it was less precise, especially over a featureless ocean. Bloody thing, the flight engineer muttered, tapping the unresponsive screen. It's the alignment. Won't hold. Let's proceed on the radio nav, Captain Barlow said, his voice calm. We'll get it sorted in Tenerife. It's a clear day. We'll be fine. The takeoff was smooth. The 727 climbed over the Irish Sea, its 3 engines thrumming with power. The passengers settled in and was enjoying a flight meals in the cockpit. The unease grew. They were navigating towards a waypoint in the Atlantic, a virtual marker known as Bugia. But the INS, though faulty, was feeding conflicting data to the autopilot, subtly disagreeing with the radio signals. The crew, trusting their primary system, failed to notice the insidious creeping error. The autopilot, receiving garbled instructions, began a slow, gentle turn to the right. Are we on course? The first officer asked, his eyes scanning the dials. Something felt off. Radio nav says we are, Barlow replied, his focus on the horizon. The INS is just spitting out nonsense. Ignore it. They flew on, enveloped in a bright, sunny haze that obscured the horizon, a phenomenon known as whiteout conditions. There were no visual references, just the endless blue of the sky and sea. The faulty navigation system, coupled with the featureless environment, was creating a perfect trap. Unbeknownst to them, the gentle turn had become a wide, sweeping arc. Instead of heading south towards Tenerife, they were curving back towards the mountainous spine of the island they were meant to be approaching from the south dot in the cabin. The seatbelt sign chimed. Cabin crew, prepare for landing, the captain's voice announced.
We have a problem.
Smooth and assured, Eleanor's feeling of dread intensified.
I know.
She looked out the window again. Instead of the flat coastal approach she expected, she saw something terrifyingly wrong. A monstrous wall of dark, volcanic rock, streaked with green, was rushing towards them. It was impossibly close, filling the entire window. She didn't even have time to scream in the cockpit. The ground proximity warning system erupted into a frantic, electronic shriek. Captain Barlow's eyes widened in sheer, uncomprehending horror got the first officer stared, paralyzed, at the mountain face that now dominated the windshield. It wasn't on any of their charts for this approach. The sound was a brief, brutal, tearing screech as the starboard wing sheared through the dense pine forest on the ridge. Then, the fuselage cartwheeled into the rocky slope of Mount La Esperanza. The world dissolved into a deafening, final roar of disintegrating metal, exploding fuel tanks, and shattered rock. The silence that followed was absolute. broken only by the crackle of fire and the whisper of the wind through the torn trees. Wreckage and personal effects were scattered across a wide, smoldering gash on the mountainside. Alan Rigby's briefcase, its papers fluttering in the updraft. The split headphones from Sarah and Mark. Eleanor's handbag still clutched tight by a hand that was no longer there. All 146 people on board were killed instantly. The investigation that followed was swift and, many argued, convenient. The official report placed the blame squarely on pilot error. The crew, it concluded, had become disoriented in the featureless conditions and flown a perfectly functional aircraft into a mountain. The known issues with the 727's ions were mentioned only in passing, a minor footnote. The fact that the Tenerife air traffic control system was outdated, lacking modern radar coverage for the mountainous interior, was glossed over. The deeper systemic failures, the inadequate training for high-tech system failures, the reliance on flawed technology, the infrastructural neglect of the island's aviation network were buried under the simpler narrative of human mistake. Now, it was a cover-up not of malice, but of negligence and a desire to avoid uncomfortable truths. The disaster was soon overshadowed by the sheer, unimaginable scale of the 1977 runway collision between two 747s at the same airport. The world forgot the 146 souls of Dan Air Flight 1008. Their story just a minor, tragic prelude to a greater catastrophe. Their final, terrifying moments erased by official reports and the passage of time, leaving only the wind to mourn on the lonely mountain ridge. Thank you for watching this complete video. Please like and subscribe our YouTube channel, Red Dot Aviation, and leave your thoughts in comment section. Goodbye.